I literally, and I had just gotten diagnosed with MS, and I went about a year after that diagnosis, being prescribed, every opioid under the sun,
Yep.
and literally it was destroying my body. And
Yep.
so I had a doctor say to me back then, I'm not going to write you any more prescriptions for these opioids, but you ought to try this cannabis stuff. That's the way he said it. And he didn't say cannabis. He said, you got to try that marijuana stuff. And I don't know what it is. It's a special kind of marijuana. It's like CBD, DVD, something. So I don't know what it is. You're a smart guy. Look it up. So I started doing the research. And back in 2001, I became very, very vocal in public.
Yep.
Back long before it was vogue, long before anybody, wanted to actually come out and step up in front of the camera and say, yes, I use marijuana. I use it for this reason.
Well,
What was driving you?
what drove me ultimately was my wife, because about 10 to 12 years ago, my wife started suffering seizures
Ah,
2 to 3 times a week. And these were the debilitating seizures where she's down on the floor. I'm holding her head, keeping her breathing, make sure she doesn't swallow her tongue, all the stuff that goes with it 2 to 3 times a week. Naturally, we did what every family does. We went to the doctor. We go to the doctors. They put her on 4 different seizure medicines, one after the other, after the other, after the other. None of them worked. None of them. In desperation, at the time, I had friends in Colorado that I knew from my home in Mexico, neighbors. They lived in Telluride. We drove to Telluride because I had heard about the success that marijuana was having with children and stopping seizures. I drove my wife to Colorado. We illegally met our friends because at that time you had to be a resident of Colorado. They went in and illegally bought drops under the tongue, brought it out to my wife. She actually had a seizure the night before in the motel. Brought her the liquid, 3 drops under the tongue, and from then they started sending it to me, FedEx, illegally, so that I could get it in Minnesota. Eventually, Minnesota got it, and all that's another story. But for the time being, I was forced to break the law, receive cannabis from Colorado from my friends to keep my wife seizure free. But I'll tell you what sold me. Martel, the day she had after that last seizure, she took the first 3 drops under the tongue. She has not had a seizure since.